Hello, and be welcome to the world of darkness. Long ago was it that the sin of Cain spawned the cursed horror that stalks the street at night in search of living blood. The kindred have long been a secret influence through all ages of human history, plotting against one another in a never-ending jihad. Their immortal progeny are among us to this day, hidden from the eyes of humanity by an elaborate masquerade. Gone to Leicester Square and beginning your round of inquiries and looking about, well, you seem to find yourself in a very busy part of the city, rather than the commotion which occupies the streets in Whitechapel. Prostitutes, the homeless, the urchins, children, and various workers and criminals moving about. The square is, among the city, one of the ideal hunting grounds, as it is surrounded by music halls, making it a very active, extremely busy part of the city. There is a constant stream of mortals moving from north to south, east, west, and it's just north of Soho, which is fashionable. Once upon a time. Been shunned a bit more recently. Not too far away, you could probably find something more akin to Whitechapel. The night houses, prostitutes, drug den. But for Leicester, you have a moment's reprieve. The gaudy melange of shops and music halls cram every front of every building in the square. Hordes of the crowd move through, of the higher and middle class. Carriages are plentiful, and the sounds of hooves are constant. You have no doubts there's more than one kindred walking around the square at this time of night, but that's not your preoccupation. How is it that you go about making inquiry about this Ferguson?
Well, first I'm going to be discreetly looking for any signs of Masonic activity, the little pyramid with the eye, anything of that nature. Yeah, as well as the the mapping tools, I can't remember. Just typical Masonic markings and whatnot. I'm going to be looking like I'm popping into and out of shops occasionally, browsing, not really doing anything. I'm trying to blend in with the crowd as I look for things. Once I see somebody that might have something of interest for me, that's when I'll be discreetly asking about Masonic activity, much in the same way as how I would ask about the Golden Dawn and whatnot.
Go ahead and roll a charisma subterfuge as you kind of move through the crowd, lightly asking, hinting towards what you're looking for, without outright saying.
Might witty apply?
Yes. Of course you know where to go. And of course somebody's willing to tell you. In fact, as you're asking, the gentleman whom you were just speaking to, rather nice fellow. He's a member of the Masons. He'd be happy to take you to the hall. It's not far away, just off the square. And why would he leave such a beautiful woman on her own? That would just be irresponsible.
How kind of him.
Very kind of him, very kind of him.
I shall follow, but I'm also going to read his aura. Is this guy fucking with me?
Though you can see he does look at you like, very nice. But he seems to be curious about you. Excited even. As though he's like, this is a woman to talk to. He's very excited about that prospect, actually. This lovely gentleman, introducing himself as a Mr. Albrook, leads you post-haste to the halls of the Freemason, showing you his ring, the compass and ruler. Once at the hall, he guides you from the main luxury of the halls with its marbled floors, its painted architecture, which lines with very Gothic vibes, though in also a slightly classical sense, very distinctive Greco style. It's in a smoking room where there's only one other gentleman to whom he very proudly making sure to stop, look at you, and then look at the man, making sure you know that he's in the know, that that man knows that he's in the know, before he merely asks, "Is Mr. Fittymont in?" The man simply gestures to the bookcase, to which he goes, and withdrawing one of the books, it slides out of place. The book he's holding, quite thick, quite heavy, nearly seems to be almost like a doorknob. By using that, he can drag it out of the way. Rather easily, too. Behind him, the opened archway leads into a smoke-filled room where several men sit around on various sofas and divans, the smoke permeating the air, being laced slightly with opium from what appears to be some manner of Indian incense burner. At one end, he leads you, approaching without fear, though he does seem to look longingly towards the smell of the opium-laced incense. When he gestures, "Madam," he looks to you.
Great.
"Mr. Ferguson, I wish to introduce to you a Madam Gray who was asking after you. I assumed by her impeccable standing and by way of asking that she was someone of whom you would be interested in with meeting." Ferguson, turning to look at you, raises an eyebrow before giving you a wide, white smile. "Mr. Albrook, you know me too well. Why don't you go sit down, enjoy some conversation? I'd be enchanted to speak with such a lovely lady right now. Please, would you like to go somewhere a little more private, or are you comfortable speaking here?"
Private would suffice.
"Well, follow me, please. I have an office just here in the back." He leads you through a stately pair of doors, the brass knocker clanging as he closes it, the room being extremely large, able to fit your bedroom, the room in which you keep your many snakes, and your servant's room, all in. It's splayed by many couches, throw pillows, fine furnishings from, you're guessing, the east, littering the place, and a large marble desk with a sandstone top, smoothed perfectly. He leads you to and has you take one of the seats made of fine animal pelt, the backs of them actually being zebra hide, as he reclines into his tiger skin covered chair behind the desk. He offers you a wide smile. "Well, now that the kine are away, we don't have to put up much pretense, now do we?"
Not at all.
Don't mind me asking, how hast you heard of me? I know I've been sending out intermediaries, but I don't believe that this was the case from Mr. Albrook's words. Good chap. Well, he's about as sharp as a spoon some nights.
No offense, but I could tell.
So what is it that brings you to my door?
I have a bit of an inquiry. How knowledgeable are you on the, comings and goings of Egyptian artifacts and individuals through this town?
I'm a foremost expert. I've had a great deal of interest in Egypt. You might be able to tell from the decor, but this entire branch of the Freemasons is wrapped around my fingers. But we'll get back to that. I've had a lot of interests in Egypt since I was still breathing. You asked how knowledgeable I am? I don't think there's anything good at telling.
Can you be so kind as to tell me a bit about the, snake people, if you will?
Are you talking about the Senites?
Quite. She gestures to her cane a little bit, just kind of subconsciously.
Can I ask your interest? It's not usually something people go asking. A bit of a taboo subject.
I have recent reason to believe that they might be causing some trouble here in London. Not just the city of, but the entirety of the area.
Oh, that would be concerning. You happen to know anything about where?
I do. It's looking to be somewhere northward of here. Large part of North London, from what I've been gathering.
Well, that would be concerning. You'd think that the Tremere would notice that, considering they tend to harbor their domains up there.
I wouldn't be surprised.
It's also just about the time that they came back into the city that this seems to be the case, huh? Not making accusations, I'm just pointing out the obvious.
Of course. It would be foolish to make accusations so early.
Picking up one of the gold ballpoint pens from his table, he points. How did you know I was poking around when it comes to these kinds of...
Well, Mr. Ferguson, just as you may have your connections, I have mine.
Well, ain't you a doll? Almost made of porcelain. You want to know about Senites? I know my share. There's a reason I'm not Egypt. Well, I might go there one night. Reality is, there's a lot more potential, politically and in blood, to be had right here in London. And this little order, you might as well have the beating heart of London in your hand. Maybe you keep that in mind, huh?
I'd like to read his aura.
Perception and empathy. Most certainly a kindred, yet there's a dark blue that, though pale, you can see how it almost seems to marble his flesh. Roll your perception and awareness.
Oh god, I might regret this. Just give me a sec. I'm contemplating if I should fucking do this or not, because this might kill me. This might fucking kill me if I do it.
No offense, my guy, but I would really be disappointed if you died that. Oh, actually, you've done worse. So, okay, go ahead.
Oh. Oh god. Alright. Fuck! This is rough. Okay. Just give me a second. I'm gonna punch something real quick, and by the time I'm done punching it, I'll be back. It won't take more than like 20 seconds. Give me a sec. Alright, I'm back. I'll lean in a little bit and place my hands on my chin. And gesturing to the cane again, I'll say, while they may be causing trouble for London, I have some interest with them myself. If you didn't notice, I'm quite fond of snakes.
Who are you?
Quite.
Well, I wouldn't happen to know any myself, but I might know a thing or two about them.
I'd like to read his aura again.
Same role as before. You see new color being spawned throughout his aura. The shift is very sudden as the dark blue seems to almost vanish before you see pale violet creeping in, followed by faint green lurking on the edges of the violet.
What might you be willing to offer? And what might you want in return?
That depends on what you want to know. I'm a reasonable man. I'm a business. If there's something you want to know, these things have their price. In fact, I even picked up a secret or two for those bastards. Something that gives me a bit of an edge.
I see. What might you be willing to offer in exchange for a minor boon?
Well, since you want to be so coy, let's shake on it, and I'll tell you what you've paid for.
Fuck, alright. I'm going for it. I'm going for the shake. As I'm going, I'd like to make another aura perception check.
You don't need to. It's the same as before.
Oh, thank God. Okay.
Upon making the shake, he lets go, reclines back, rubs under his nose for a moment, and then throws his hand up as if to say, all right, let's do this. You want to know about the Setites? There are a few things I can tell you. For what you've paid. Good stuff. For one, be careful when you're looking in their eye. Making eye contact with them might not end with paralyze you. Just on a glance. What's more, not many people know this, but naturally I have my sources. Setites. He holds up a hand. Can grow scales over their skin. Makes them, not like a Ventru, not even a gangrel, but it can make them a bit of a tougher opponent in your average fight. Makes it a little harder to, he makes a motion for a stake, and then with his thumb, he motions it across his neck, if you understand the meaning. But Setites are very ritualized. They do a lot of ritual, particularly in relation to Egypt. Go figure. Something you might know is they have a thing for redheads. Love them. If they find an attractive man or woman with red hair, it's almost too much to resist. You see, they think that their god had red hair. So they see red hair as something to look out for. But they tend to be very exclusive about the Egyptian. I happen to know an Egyptian ventral, my sire in fact, who knows that they like to keep it in the family. So if you want to find them, you're going to want to start looking where the blacks tend to hang out. Lastly, and this is the biggest piece of advice I can give you, he gestures around the room. Don't meet one in a room like this. You'll notice that it's kind of dark in here. Zedites like the dark, kind of like the La Sombra. If you're in the dark, you're in their territory. But they all seem to listen to the same person. You're not likely to find a lot of them in one place, but they will all answer to whoever's in charge in the region. I would say I could probably point you in the direction of where the Sedites are potentially interested, but for that, your little boon isn't going to be enough. He looks you up and down before he says, I'll make you a deal. Work with me a little bit, here among my friends, in the Mason. But a lot of opportunity within the Mason. Every politician, every major power you could imagine in this city tied to the Masons. The reason that the city angles the way it does, the compass, the ruler, these are all the cornerstones of the Mason, concentrating energy for power. So in exchange for coming along, since I seem to like. Actually, I can say for sure I do. Seem to have an eye. You drink a portion of my blood tonight, and I'll tell you where these snakes are likely hiding. Or, he points at you, where they want to hide.
Very well. I think it would be wise to join you anyway.
Like I said, you got brains. With that, he rolls up his sleeve slowly. And then, taking a letter opener from the table, cuts open his wrist, the smell of the vitae already reaching. So much more potent than that of human blood. As he begins to dribble it into the cup, and turns so it no longer drips but rolls down his arm, he pushes the cup towards you.
What I would give to have the beautiful, beautiful Merit unbondable right now. Alright, we're fucking sending it because this is important. I will pick it up and daintily take a drink.
The moment the vitae touches your tongue, can't resist it anymore. You drown it down your gullet, sucking it until the edge of the cup where you were drinking from is clear. It is richly intoxicating. His blood is likely extremely potent for it to be so alluring. The smell of it makes you want for more as you lick the rim of the glass and swirl your finger on the edge trying to collect more of it. Meanwhile, he's reclined into his seat, and once you've finished, he says, Limehouse. A lot of the Chinese there. You can imagine those Chinese bring in a lot of opium. Opium is something that Zedites would want to control. Add to that the Chinese bringing it in straight from the motherland. He holds up his hands. You'll likely find them somewhere along Commercial Street, not far from the Chinese. With the railway station there, they could move their product all throughout London and throughout the British Isles. Good source of income and plenty of desperate people in need of a helping hand from someone in the dark. I wouldn't be surprised if one of those snake-eyed bastards was already involved.
I thank you for the information, Mr. Ferguson.
End scene.